morning. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining. My name is Patrick Baker, and welcome to another edition of Senior Tech Coffee. Our topic today is a product called HeyHerbie, which is essentially a box that you can plug into your TV and do simple video chat and a few other things which we'll talk about in some more detail here shortly. So our guests today, well, first off, let me just explain. I have 30 years experience in IT. I provide IT tech support and training for older adults and small businesses on site and remotely. So I'd like to introduce our guests this morning, which I'll get to here in just a second. And this is essentially our agenda. We're going to talk about, what is the HeyHerbie product? What does it solve? And then we'll have some time for Q&A. I am going to mute everyone, and you should be able to unmute yourselves if you have a question, or one of the guests, you should be able to unmute yourselves as well. All right. So our guests this morning are Ashish Mugdal and Jill Elkema from HeyHerbie. Ashish is the founder and the CEO of the company. He's a former team member at Monsanto who developed a integrated farming system software package, and that eventually became his own company, as I understand it. So Ashish, welcome. Would you like to say a few words about yourself in introduction? Oh, you'll have to unmute yourself. Here, I got you. Oh, I think I did it and then you redid it, but let me try again. There we go.
Is it good? Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
See, I'm the technology guy. Okay. No, thanks a lot, Patrick, for having us here. And I'm really excited to share the HeyHerbie journey. And thanks a lot for everybody calling in. You have summed it up. I am now, I don't want to say founder, I'm a co-founder with Jill and so many other great team members who have not only taught me how much this social isolation a problem, how big this problem is, and how much we need a solution and a big necessity. So you have summed it up, and as we talk about, I'll tell you more about my technology experience. But I have been in technology for more than 25 years. And as far as I remember, if you will, Patrick, let me talk on technology. I can just take the microphone for next 10, 15 minutes. But I still remember the first time when I might be in a middle school or a high school. I wrote a code for 3-line code that changed the monitor screen color. And I was so happy just seeing that it turned from blue to green to pink. And I was like, I was as happy as Elon Musk might be after the successful SpaceX launch. And I was sharing it with everybody. So that's my entrance to technology. But since then, I don't know if you're going to ask me later on or not, or Patrick, if you say I can talk about a little bit about my tech journey now or maybe later on.
Well, so you mentioned just a moment ago that you've worked in technology for a number of years. I guess my other initial question is, what was your motivation behind launching HeyHerbie?
Yeah, so this is the third startup that I'm part of. And this time I was really excited and have luxury to spend more time and resources, because otherwise there are so many things that goes with the startup, the personal problems, family, the financial. But this time I was lucky enough, being my family side and financially, I can go into a area or try to get into a problem where I can spend the time. So coincidentally, at the same time, there is a startup generator based in Denver, Colorado. Now it's known as X Genesis, formerly 10-10-10. I got an invitation from them in 2018 for their health cohort, and they have 10 wicked problems. They call them wicked, which are hard to solve. So one of the problem was unaffordability of long-term care. And I went there with a very open mind. There were few problems with tech background, but I chose this one. And I think the bigger share why I chose this goes to Flo Raitano. She is our chief evangelist and advisor. She is director of partnerships development and innovation at Dr. Cog in Denver. So she has been a real force to motivate us, and she's the one who introduced Jill to HeyHerbie. And since then, Jill and Flo are the one who educated me about senior care, and I was bringing the technology aspect from my background, and that's how we started into it.
Excellent. Yeah, thank you. And as I mentioned a moment ago, our other guest this morning, let me get my mouse back, is Miss Jill Elkema, and welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's good to see you.
Absolutely. So Jill, how long have you worked in elder care?
Oh, I thought you were going to say tech. I haven't worked in tech very long. I've worked with older adults. It's been 16 years now, actually. I started, you don't really start social work, doing what I'm doing now, which is counseling as well as some care management. You kind of start in the trenches. So I started with the Area Agency on Aging in Washington State and was part of the Family Caregiver Support Program pilot that Washington did. And I mean, we were doing rural advocacy at the time, but it let me see how the funding and how the services affect people from a wide range of backgrounds. And so then I moved to Denver, completed my master's in social work from the University of Denver, Graduate School of Social Work. Emphasis in aging. I kept saying, oh, I'm gonna go into this field, I'm gonna go into this field, but I kept getting pulled back in. And so I became the manager of the Aging and Disability Resource Center for the Denver Regional Council of Governments. And then after a few years, I really wanted to be able to work directly with families again and started Western Care Partners. And in the beginning phases of that was introduced to Ashish and realized that where we were going with Herbie was solving a piece that that I was seeing, but I don't have the tech background. I didn't know a lot about that. And especially with COVID right now, I am seeing that really deep need for an easy way to connect, and very excited about what we're doing.
Excellent. Could you tell us a little bit more about how you got involved with HeyHerbie?
Yeah, Flo called me one afternoon, and it was right after I had left the Denver Regional Council of Governments, and she said, you got to get over here. These guys are talking about this whole situation where people live in their own homes and then something happens and they have to reconnect with families. And we know, I think the piece I always like to share is families aren't necessarily trained on how to make decisions together, and it can be really easy later in life for that to have to suddenly happen. But if we can keep people connected longer, and continue with that social capital, and make that easy for people, then if something happens to us health-wise, it's a lot easier for families to navigate both the emotions and the services, right? Sure,
Definitely.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, welcome to you both. And again, thank you for joining me today. So let's just dive right in and talk about what HeyHerbie is all about. Either one or both of you, please tell us the product story.
Yeah, I can give a 30-second pitch. So as Jill said, means we started with the social isolation as the bigger problem. And during our whole ideation stage, we kept thinking there are so many solutions out there, but the missing part is user experience, user interface. And that's why instead of replacing the hardware, we thought, why not embrace the hardware that older adults, especially my parents, everybody loved to use, and that is television. So we started how we can augment older adults' televisions so they can stay connected, safe, and above all, happy at their own homes. Uh, the product story, if I dig a little bit deeper, and that's because of Jill and Flo, again, in 2019, our background was tech. What we did, Patrick, is we hacked a video game, which is NVIDIA Shield. So it's $300 TV box video game. We hacked it and we put some dummy services on top of it. Like you can video chat or you can order groceries right through the TV. And Jill and Flo invited 30 Marys. We call Marys as our persona of Mary, middle-aged sandwich generation kid of an older adult who is so much busy with her own work life, with college-going students or college-going kids. Suddenly she receives a call one day that, hey, your dad needs some help or mom needs help. And now she is totally torn between the time and her own life. So that was Mary. And we got 50 Marys, Jill and Flo and everybody. We got 50 Marys inside a room and we show them that dummy video game hacked. I don't know, Jill, if you remember, the way we show the grocery delivery was our CTO's wife was standing outside with sweet potatoes in her hand. And the clue was, hey, somebody ordered sweet potatoes, and she just came in. Yeah, there you go. From TV, you can order your sweet potatoes. So that was the starting point. We made a list of features that we can deliver through TV. But as COVID happened and social isolation being the important aspect, we are focusing on two biggest features. One is communication. So with one click, how you can communicate through your TV with your family and friends. And second is your scheduler. Right on your TV, you can get your medication reminders and other daily routine activities.
Cool, very cool. So what do you need to be able to use your product?
So nothing, just call us. No,
Well,
but I think, yeah,
let me clarify a little bit. Like, so for example, what services in the home, what kind of hardware does one have to have on hand to be able to just plug in your product and start using it?
Sure.
Maybe that's a better
and
question.
we're still in early phases, so a lot of pivots are going to happen. But at this stage, you need to have a stable Wi-Fi connection at your home. That's the only requirement. We are hoping, we know almost all television that came after 2010 have a HDMI plug-in. So any television or even a monitor with HDMI plug-in and a Wi-Fi connection is the requirement. That's it.
Gotcha. And how does how does it work?
Sure. So again, we are focused on Mary. She as a care partner, go to our website, HeyHerbie.com. With 3 simple steps, she can create an account for herself, and also automatically our system will generate an account for her parents. And the password is shared between Mary and her parents, because now they don't have to come to a computer anytime or even on the smartphone. Now Mary can also add other family members just by knowing their email. So now you can create a team of loved ones around your parents on our platform. Once you have that, she can use our app on the smartphone or computer, HeyHerbie.com. But for older adults, we have Herbie TV. Again, it connects to any television with HDMI input. initially we were offering that, oh, you can, it's like Roku or Apple TV where you can download Netflix, all the other services, streaming services. But now we actually made it pass over. What that means is, if you have cable at home, or if you have any other streaming device that you're using, you can plug it in Herbie itself, and you can keep watching your cable or whatever you're watching. You can keep consuming your media. Whenever you get a call or a reminder, there will be a LED light or a vibrator that lightens up. With one click, you get to our device. Now you can, if it's a call, it's already picked up. Now Mary is connected with the team members. Anybody can call to this TV device and they can talk with each other. Or anybody can access the calendar for the to create the events, and they can get the reminders.
Interesting. So what do you call the device you were just holding again?
So we call it Herbie TV.
Herbie TV. So is Herbie TV easy to set up and configure?
We are still in a process. I won't say it's totally that easy, because a webcam is also part of it. So there are 3 connections that you're supposed to make. And that's why we are trying to get to Mary first. She could be the one who can install it in her parents' house. And we are also focusing going B2B this time in retirement communities. And we're partnering with them. But for somebody with not a huge technological background, it's just 3 switches or plugs to be plugged in, and it's ready to go. And most of the heavy work happens on the app side. So TV is in the background. We are taking care of your password, account creations, everything. The smartphone is the one where you have to create the team and everything happens.
Excellent. So you've kind of touched on this already in terms of essentially the 2 functions, the communications piece and the calendar and the reminders. But what else can you do with HeyHerbie, or is that your primary focus right now with the product?
Great question, Patrick. Actually, we are a startup, right, with limited resources, and we want it to be focused. First, let's nail down these 2 features, and that's what Jill and Flo has suggested are like the most required, especially with COVID. So we are 100% focused. But the one aspect that we kept open, it's an Android-based operating system. So what it means actually is, our phones, if it's not iPhone, it's Android-based phone. Almost most of the smartphones are Android-based. So any app or service that is built for a smartphone is Android capable, or means can be installed on an Android-based device. So when you talk about, that's why we are trying to build a platform. Right now we are offering 2 services, but this is Android. So any app that is built for a smartphone can be loaded on this TV box. I was having a meeting just today morning with one guy in New York, and he said he is exactly our Mary. And he was saying that his father, who is 89, and his mother-in-law, who is 91, they suddenly need help. And it doesn't come with a manual, like where to go, how to find help. So he was confused. And he said that when his dad was 82, the requirements were different. When he get 85, the requirement changed, 87, 89. So if you draw with time, the needs are changing. And that's where I think our background in AI and machine learning can help us. As you grow with us, can we recommend? We don't have to develop all these services. They already exist out there. And for each phase, can we bring them on our platform so you don't have to find that manual and can easily keep adapting those? And that's the goal. So as of now, just 2 features, but as we grow, Jill is Flo is our North Star, and Jill is our guide, how we can have those different services and do this. So one of the partner we already got is Ryan. It's dreamfacetech.com. If anybody want to see on the web link is dreamfacetech.com. It's a robot, social robot, and actually it's way high, and its brain actually lives on the cloud now for Herbie to access. So we already access the robot's brain, and it can be delivered to you through your TV with Herbie TV. Few of its capabilities are, it's like Alexa, but more than that. Few of its, I'm just saying few, because you can play games, it's a social interaction, you can talk about movies with him, you can talk about science, whatever you can, it interacts. But it can also assess their emotional state just by reading their vocabulary, because when you are negative, you tend to use negative words. So it can assess the emotional state. And based on that, we can open the resources for them. And that's where we are looking how Ryan can be integrated as our next step. And hopefully, as we learn more, it's a learning experience, especially for me, how we can integrate more services.
Yeah, that's fascinating. And that's actually, I wanted to ask about that in a little more detail. So I'm glad you brought it up. Jill, what are some scenarios that you can envision that our elders might be in where Ryan would be useful?
Yeah, I tell you, the families that call me are usually calling. I did an assessment. About 2/3 are calling because there's some kind of neurocognitive impairment. And usually it's in that phase of memory loss where the person is still very, very, very active, but there's gaps, right? There's holes. It's like cheese. And are you going to focus on the holes, or are you going to focus on the cheese? And it's really hard with that kind of activity level for families to adjust to what the person needs. And I'm a firm believer that it can't be one person. You can't do it alone. But what Ryan saw in their trials at Eaton Senior Communities, which is also where we did our first pilot, is that if people can have successful interactions, they feel better. And that emotional piece is so key when there's some kind of neurocognitive impairment. So especially with COVID right now, I see Ryan as being very useful in, it's something you can do. It's something you can interact with, as well as, if there's permission, give the family information on how the person's doing. Because I can say from personal experience, one of the hardest things to hear is, my parents are in Washington State, but hearing people be lonely, or hearing my parents say, we haven't been able to see the grandkids, and I want people to be able to have access to that AI piece that can provide some interaction, as well as an easy way to be able to put eyes on a situation. So I have clients now that, man, it would be great if I could call and I could be on their TV screen, and they could see me. And if they're having a panic attack or something like that, we could do some relaxation exercises. Someone like Leanne could do an exercise program, and it would be right on my TV. So there's a few different pieces, but on the case management side, I can't be in two places at once, but this maybe gets me a little bit closer.
Yeah. That's I'm just thinking about the different applications is pretty fascinating. So the HeyHerbie app is for the family members and the care providers. So maybe could you please go a little bit further into, either one of you, into what the app does?
Do you want to? Yeah. So as I said, focusing on two major features, right? As of now, when you go to our app, HeyHerbie app, one thing is you can add more team members, your loved ones, and even an older adult or anybody who goes to the app, he can add more members. security and safety is a very big issue for us, and that's why trust. We don't want to have given access to anybody here and there, but Mary, who is our admin, she can add. But anybody who has been bring to the team, only those people can conversate with older adults. So it's not like anybody with a call can just make chat on their TV, because we already know about spams and scams that are happening on phone or web chats. So you can just by two services, you have access to the calendar on the app. You can add the events and their scheduler, or you can just with a one click make a call to their older adults television. As of now, these are the only services that we are offering through the app.
Gotcha.
But security, safety, and trust, and that's why we are trying to keep everything inside our system. And we are not collecting the data. We are HIPAA compliant. We are not trying to steal your data for anything else. Without naming some of the companies, we have been offered to, can those companies bring advertisement on the screen based on how Facebook does, like based on knowing your demographic or even your emotional state, can we push the advertisement? And we say no. So that's not where we want to go. We don't want to, yeah, that's not our area.
That's reassuring. Yeah, so I'm just curious from I mean, you were talking about the security aspect. So for example, if you were adding me as a user to HeyHerbie for your particular account, am I going to get a username and password that is like that you provide for me, or do I get the opportunity to do that for myself? But me as the end user, I get some control over those credentials. Is that
correct? Yes, Patrick. Sorry, I lost you in the end a little bit. But yes, you're right. First time, let's say Mary adds his brother. She just needs to put her email, abc@gmail.com. Brother will receive an email. He is going to set up his own account, which is actually connected now in the back end. We are taking care of everything. He is now connected to that family, but he has access to his password and he cannot add more users. It's only Mary who can add more users. So it's not like any family member can add more things and more things. No, it's just
okay.
She or the older adult. They are the two who owns this account.
I see. So can you specify more than one administrator on the account?
As of now, no. As of now, you have two administrators. One is the family member, and the next one, because we are going in retirement communities, so it's the retirement community or facility manager, whoever they want to designate. He can also be a admin.
Got it. Understood. Thank you. All right. Does anyone in the audience, if you have any questions at any time, feel free to unmute yourself and ask your question. You know, when there's a pause, or if you like, on the participants tab, you can click the raise hand button, or just enter your question in the chat, and we'll field questions any of those ways. So let's talk about what problem or problems does HeyHerbie solve? So who needs HeyHerbie? Who's your ideal customer for HeyHerbie?
Jill, you want to go?
Yeah, I think it's ideally someone who has has social capital, wants to maintain their relationships, has family members in town. And in my experience, you know, it's usually the person who's older that I hear all the time. Well, I don't call my kids because I know that they're busy, that kind of thing. But this gives you a way to connect, as well as, you know, the kids checking in with each other. It gives you a way to connect. So generally somebody who has a TV, who's using their TV and wants it to be able to do more, as well as use it as a communication tool.
Gotcha.
But I think what we found too is most people didn't have smartphones. It'll be interesting when we do this second pilot, but most people didn't have smartphones and really wanted a way to just be able to see each other. That's the big piece right now. And I think one of the benefits is it's different if I'm looking at someone on a smartphone versus if I can look on a full computer screen and they can have an entire TV and you can see some context, right? I mean, even now we know that more trustworthy connections are made if people can see your hands. With the therapy and the counseling that I do, if people can see my hands, I'm much more trustworthy. So if I can see somebody in their entire living room and they can see my context, trust is built a lot more quickly and people are more likely to call each other.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And just to add, this is a great point,
Sure.
Jill. And what I learned over the 2-3 years, emotional empowerment. It's not only about that, hey, you need this for connection. No. Do you want to have fun in life? Because you have been having fun in your life. So your just physical limitations should not prohibit you to not have fun anymore. I think it's all about connection. It's not only about care. We don't want to be came out as that you are an older adult and we install this to look upon you, to spy upon you. No. How you can stay connected, like Jill said, with your social capital. Have fun with them. And that's why flow is kind of our main lead on that. And whenever you turn on Herbie, with every screen refresh, we have one-liners from 1950s and 60s that refresh. Like, take shower with your friend, save water. I don't even know. There are so many one-liners like that because we want to came as a fun thing, not like we're not. I think half of your ailments, sickness, and illness is gone away when you just can enjoy your life. And that's why I think it's not only the older adults who are in misery needs HeyHerbie. No, you need HeyHerbie because you want to have fun with your social capital. Right, Jill?
Yeah, I would add, I just thought of something I was going to share with you guys. So I see a woman who's in independent living and she keeps going out of the community and then she comes back in and she gets quarantined. And I'm considered an essential worker, so I can go in and see her for the things we're working on. But she has a friend down the hall and now they're both in quarantine and they're not supposed to leave. And they wait until everybody's gone at night and then they sneak over to each other's apartments because they both went to the same place. So technically if one's sick, the other one's going to be. But she usually, when I show up, she's doing a Zoom call and she can't figure out how to turn it on. She can't figure out how to turn it off. And I think there's a huge need for being able to connect with the people who are in your building and in your community and being able to have that involvement. It doesn't just mean it's just your family. But especially if you're quarantined, then you don't have to sneak down to eat watermelon with your friend at 10 at night.
Indeed. We have a question from a member of the audience. Jane, did you want to ask a question?
Sure. I'm the oldest person I know right now, just about. And I'm very comfortable with technology, but for argument's sake, say that I'm living alone. I'm not comfortable with computers and smartphones and all that. And so my daughter sets up an account. How do I know, do you schedule times to talk? Is there something that pops up on your television that says, hey, you've got a call? Or, if I'm watching a soap opera, what happens? How does that work from the user end? If I'm not using a mouse to click on something and connect.
Mm-hmm. So if you're watching TV, or if you're, I don't know, having a date night, that's the one I'm like, what if you're having a date night and you don't want your daughter to call?
Right.
Right?
So can only hope.
What? So what will happen is it will pop up on the TV, and then you'll have a button on the remote where you can either accept or reject.
Gotcha. Okay.
Right. Yeah. And
So-
from a care management point of view, I also really encourage families to have some standard times when they do expect everybody will, you know, get on the phone. Or if there's business things that need to be discussed, those set a time during the week when you're going to talk about the financial piece or the legal or things like that, and let the other time just be chatting, you know, because otherwise it gets really stressful, especially because we can't go over with all the paperwork. And sometimes it helps if people know what you're calling about. Or if you're like, no, I have a date during that time, I can't call.
So you actually raised a couple of interesting points, Jill. So I just want to, I'll put it in the form of a question. So the HeyHerbie TV has a remote, correct?
That's correct. You get
It's
a remote,
its own.
a camera, a box, and the cables. We're figuring out if the remote comes with a battery or not. I'm pushing for it coming with a battery.
Gotcha. And then as far as like the scheduler piece of the app is concerned, I mean, in addition to things like medication reminders, I mean, couldn't you essentially schedule anything? Like, for example, a call with your caregiver, or you know,
me.
basically, or anything you want to be reminded of. I'm sorry, what did you say?
Yeah, or with me, or with some of these,
Yeah.
you know, these activities that, I mean, right now, so some of our initial research was with Village at Belmar out in Lakewood, and their activities coordinator, if people don't show up, Leanne, you can probably relate to this. If people don't show up, they're running door to door to knock. You know, it'd be way easier to just push a button and call someone and say, hey, were you going to hop on? They're expecting you, you know, whatever it is.
Right. Sure. Cool. Very interesting. So in your opinions, what problems does HeyHerbie solve that weren't solved, that were not easily solved before, or are like completely new solutions as far as elder care is concerned?
I think in addition to the social isolation piece, which now, I mean, it used to be a new concept, now everyone's talking about it. There's also the bit about privacy, right? We know that privacy is the ability to control the information that's about you. And a lot of times families aren't communicating and they don't want to burden each other, but they also want to stay connected. So I see the problem of knowing that when you call someone, it's not an interruption, that it's a welcome thing, the way that a lot of us just stay in touch. I think that's a huge component for this. We also have talked a little bit about the privacy piece and making sure that you have a closed loop with the people that you trust. There's that problem that's being adjusted and, or that's being addressed, excuse me. And yeah, what am I missing? What else, Ashish?
Yeah, no, from the tech aspect, you're right, Patrick. Means the first thing strikes to you now is Zoom, right? Everybody can Zoom, or Facebook has come with a portal, or Alexa Echo. So what's special? What Jill said, trust is number one.
Yeah.
Lunch is never free, right? So if Alexa and Facebook is offering it for free, that means they have some hidden agendas. They might be good, they might not be, but they are selling your data, your ads. So that's what we are trying to avoid. From the technological perspective, there are two aspects that I saw. One time I remember my mom just called me and said that now my eyes means I cannot see on my remote what button, so I cannot change the channels. So being a good son, I ordered on Amazon a remote with bigger buttons and I sent it to her. So it was delivered directly. After 3-4 days, I received a call and she was like, what do you think? I'm an old lady? I don't need these big buttons. And so that's not right. Means you should not infantilize older adults, right? they have been pioneers. They have done achieved so much, and now you are treating them as a kid. So I think that's one aspect where innovation is still required. We should not make them look infantilized, or the product that is make them look handicapped, for the lack of any other word. That's where I think we can bring some innovation. And the second aspect is the user interface has to be easy and not infantilized, but still easy. And that's where we are trying to work on. It doesn't have to be that you have to be a master in using a computer or a technology or a smartphone. And there are sometimes limitations. Like, I didn't know before coming into the HeyHerbie team that if you have cold fingers, the fingers doesn't work on the screen, smart screens. I didn't know that. So there are some limitations like that. Can we overcome those? And that's why we call one of our biggest asset is we are working specifically for older adults. So Alexa, Facebook, they are also targeting my 4-year-old son, but our services are exclusively for them. Let's think about that.
Yeah, interesting. Very good. Thank you. Those are that's great information. So what is the cost?
Yeah, so we are still looking into it. We haven't started a mass manufacturing yet, so it's obviously gonna bring down the prices. With COVID, supply chain problems are having, so hopefully we will be 100% manufactured in US soon. The starting cost is with webcam, like Jill said, webcam, the HeyHerbie TV device, and it comes with a switcher inside. Switcher means that can switch between your cable or whatever the way you are consuming your media and HeyHerbie TV. So the 3 devices, a total cost for $149. And for B2B, we are offering our services as of now, $29 a month in the retirement communities. But of course, I think as we scale up, prices are gonna go down, hopefully. So as of now, yes, it's $29 a month and $149. But if you order early, hardware is free. Or if you sign up for 3 months in advance subscription, hardware is free.
Nice. And that's per user.
Per user.
Yeah.
But the subscription is per HeyHerbie TV users. So you can have multiple family members in one subscription.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not like each user have to pay $29. One HeyHerbie TV is $29, and you can have multiple family members.
Got it. Excellent. So what's on the near and the far horizon for HeyHerbie as far as the product development and your goals?
Yeah, from tech perspective, and Jill can talk about the feature perspective that we should be bringing in next 3 months, 3 years, 10 years. From the product perspective, we are really excited right now. We're going to be part of Upward Labs. It's based in Hartford, Connecticut. So we will be running our pilots on the East Coast in Hartford Healthcare Center and one more community. We will be installing and collecting metrics and data, improving our product based on the feedback for next 4 months. By early 2021, or before spring ends, we should be able to start our mass manufacturing. That's our immediate goal, and only with 2 features as of now. Let's get our older adults connected first, and then we can talk about what other services. But our system is flexible enough where we can add features as we move along. But we don't want to offer them again 300,000 apps on your smartphone, and now Mary is again confused which one I should pick. No, we want to stay away from that.
Cool. Excellent. Jill, anything to add?
Lately, I've been working with one of our developers on the interface side and what that's going to look like, and how to make sure that the flip from the switch from your TV to the calling cart makes sense. Like, if you switch over, can you see yourself in the background so that you know the camera's on? This is my personal opinion, it has to look nice, right? I want to
Sure.
see the names of the people that I'm connected to, and I want it to look clean, and I want it to look classy. So that's a big piece.
Nice. Excellent. All right. Do we have any other questions from the audience? That was pretty much the end of all of my questions. But if there's other questions that the folks in the audience have, feel free to unmute and jump in. Or Morgan, did you have a question?
Yeah, I did. Thank you. Can you have more than one family member on the screen like you do on a Zoom? Is that coming? What would that? Yeah. Is you shaking
Sure.
your head? Ashish?
Yeah. Thanks, Morgan. Thanks for listening, and thanks for question. Yes. So right now, as we are saying, first we are trying to stabilize our platform. So right now it's one-on-one, but the web chat that we have in the backend, that can have up to 10 participants in one call. So it will be soon, but as of now it's one-on-one. But yes.
I know. Can you imagine, Morgan, being able, like,
No, this is so good.
I know, we've worked on some cases together. And being able to do a care conference and coordinate everybody because you can see each other, that would be huge.
On the TV, and it's, you know, they're comfortable. It's not, I mean, just Zoom, trying to get that comfortable for some folks with Wi-Fi or all, you know, it just is really a challenge. And something like this earlier, you know, if you, like you said at the start of the call, if you can reach people who are starting to lose their social capital earlier, you know, it's not, I have one person I can call, it's my daughter. It's like, well, let me start down the list and see if somebody can come pick me up at my doctor appointment. So earlier intervention for folks, especially right now. I have an independent living client doing the same thing as you. She's not, I mean, they just sneak around. They wait until everybody's gone and they're sneaking around. And I would do the same thing. It's like being in the dorm. So anyway, that's my 2 cents. Thank you. This is wonderful.
Yeah.
Great. Excellent question, Morgan. So gallery view is in the future then, it sounds like.
Yes.
Awesome. Just to trade in the Zoom parlance there. Well, excellent. Thanks for joining today. If anyone has any other questions, please speak up. I just wanted to give folks a peek at what's coming up next with the Senior Tech Coffee schedule. In 2 weeks on the 20th, we're going to be talking about fitness tech with none other than Leanne Langdon, who is on the call with us today. And we'll be talking about various devices and apps and I guess just routines for using tech as part of your fitness regimen. In September, I've got a session on personal safety tech for elders. So going to be talking about things like Apple Watch and other smart home devices that both caregivers and family members can use to basically to monitor their elders in terms of, you know, did mom wake up this morning and make coffee? You know, those kinds of, you know, basic sorts of questions like that. And then also end of September, I'm going to have another guest, Joyce Foistel, who some of you may know. She runs Boomer's Social Media Tutor, which is her own company. We're going to be talking about older adults and social media. So that's coming up here in the next few weeks. I've got some contact info, and I'll be, by the way, I'll be sharing a PDF of this slide deck, so you don't have to write this stuff down now, but it'll include the contact information that you see here for HeyHerbie, for Ashish and Jill's company, as well as Jill's contact information for Western Care Partners and the services that she provides. And of course, my information will be included as well. And thank you so much for joining today. Really appreciate everyone taking the time to show up and learn something about HeyHerbie. Any final questions or thoughts or comments from anyone?
Thanks a
Yeah, go
lot,
ahead,
Patrick.
Morgan.
Thanks for having us. And one of the line from our TV is, it was rad,
That's awesome.
right?
Nice. Morgan, did you go ahead?
Yeah, if I had someone that I really think could benefit from this, who would I talk to? Is that you, Jill? Do I just reach out and say, hey, and what does it look like to, I mean, I think you mentioned a backlog potentially with supply chain issues. You know, are people a little ways out if it is something they're interested in?
Ashish?
Yes, Morgan. Maybe we can offer this Christmas gift as a Christmas gift.
Okay.
So a little early, yeah.
Thank you. That's perfect. I know where to find Jill.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, you guys.
All right.
Thanks for doing this,
All right.
Patrick.
Well, if no one has, oh, go ahead. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for joining us today. And I'll have a recording of this session today available later on today. And so if you wanted to share that on your social media, Ashish and Jill, or anyone, that'll be available later on, and for folks who weren't able to join us. So at any rate, appreciate everyone showing up and for your time. And thank you again, and hopefully see you again at another Tech Coffee.
Great.
Bye.
Yeah.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Thanks, everybody.